I'm gonna make these a little tighter. That's part of what happens in this sport sometimes. You ready to roll?
I am ready to roll.
All
I'm
right.
sorry I didn't change my tires. I'm on little XC tires.
Little tiny XC tires. Well, guess what? If your form's good, that'll be all right.
They roll fast, but they don't break well.
That's all right. Well, cross-country racers have to do switchback turns today, which is what we're going to work on today. So we're going to work on some switchback turns. We're going to do some switchback turn drills. You and I are getting ready to go to the Alps in about a week.
That's right.
Kind of the home of switchbacks, regular switchbacks, steep switchbacks, really tight switchbacks, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting you say that because we're such a product of the environment we ride in. And when we go there, we're kind of out of our element.
So we're going to show you a drill today to help you get your switchbacks under control. Anytime you're at home that you're setting this up, the idea here is you want a little bit of a downhill exit so that you can roll through your footwork and not have to deal with pedaling while you're doing this. This technique, by the way, does also work while you're pedaling. The shapes we're going to be making today and the line choice ideas we're going to be making today actually do work when you're climbing. So let's take a little closer look at how to set this up. So before we get started, can you remind people what a switchback is?
Yes. Someone taught me once that a switchback is a turn that's so tight that your wheels can't follow the same path.
Exactly right.
Yes.
All right, now let's get to it.
Okay. I'm gonna need these today.
You think so?
This is so embarrassing, but I actually fell while I was running.
Well, you should wear those next time you go running.
Everyone's gonna think I was riding, but nope, just can't put one foot in front of the other.
I think you should make up a better story. So here we've got a little drill zone set up. We've got our pink cones here, pink for pre-turn. So we're gonna be pre-turning here. We've got a red cone just to remind ourselves to get our front wheel up nice and high. And then we've got our blue cone set up. And these cones are set up in a way that the turn is very slightly tighter than a turn I could take with wheels following one another. So as we work through this drill, we can bring the cones in and make this more and more difficult. So just as a reminder, with the pre-turn that we make for a switchback turn, it's going to happen closer to the turn. The reason for this is we want to create an offset wheel path. And the closer to the turn we make our pre-turn, the more offset our wheel path will be. So this means that the tighter the turn is, the later we're going to wait to make our pre-turn, and the more inside we're actually going to make the pre-turn, because we want to leave the rear wheel behind at the beginning of the turn.
This reminds me of your saying, straight and late.
Straight and late.
Straight and late.
All day long. So we're going to be entering into the skill drill zone here with our feet level. And when I get to my pre-turn here, I'm going to start making some front foot pressure. I'm a left foot forward rider, so this right hand pre-turn is a front foot turn for me and for Linnea. So coming in, make a front foot pre-turn, bring that front wheel up really, really high as I can here, and then I'm gonna move into my back foot turn to finish through. If you're a right foot forward rider, the inverse is true. So as a right foot forward rider, you would come into here, right foot forward, you'd make some back foot pressure in your pre-turn, and some front foot pressure to bring you through the turn. The opposite will be true when we change sides. Lots going on here. Lots of practice required, so make sure you spend time on this. All right, straight and late, you got this. Bring it on in, nice front foot pre-turn and a back foot turn. Yeah, getting rowdy on the cross-country tires.
Yep, they're sticking.
So you made it through there, no problem. Just right on the outside line there, so.
Oh, I can see I got excited because I can see my tire marks.
You can see your tire marks here, right? Like in the shape of a question mark, right there.
Yeah.
Right, so if you have a question about switchback turns, always remember the question mark. We're coming in, we're making a really sharp hook here, and this is a place people often go wrong. So we're making this nice sharp move here and bringing it through. But yeah, nice job. Great first lap. Nice front foot pre-turn, back foot turn. Excellent, excellent. All right, you got this. Best one yet. Best one yet. Good speed coming in. You're gonna make that good front foot pre-turn and that back foot turn.
They're sliding a little.
Yeah, well, you know why? Because I totally messed with you. I threw your pre-turn too far before so you wouldn't get an offset wheel path.
Wait, no, why was...
So yeah, I just decided
No
to mess with
wonder
you. So
it was harder.
it was really hard, right? So your pre-turn was way back here, too far away. So your wheels followed one another and you're like, wow, this is a really tight turn. So you had to really try to force it to get the bike through. And your bike almost fits through this radius. So you kind of almost were able to force it through. My idea was actually to send you into the weeds outside the cone.
Instead, I just like, it's like 7 a.m. and I'm being pranked.
That's the way it works around here. All right, so let's put the cones back. Let's actually pretend this is a little bit tighter. Actually, let's just make this a little bit tighter. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move your pre-turn cones in a bit and I'm gonna squeeze these in all like another foot, okay? So your turn's about to get tighter, so your pre-turn needs to be tighter as well. So it's gonna be in closer to that tree. We're gonna be making a more pronounced question mark shape through here. And I'll also make the exit a bit tighter.
That is hilarious. You changed the stuff and I actually slid out.
You fell for it. I like it.
I was nervous that time.
You were nervous?
Because I slid.
You thought I was going to prank you? Well, you still made it. So that's pretty fast for a tight switchback, I mean, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
So you could slow it down a little bit if you wanted to.
I definitely want to do that again.
Okay, do it again. Good one. Next time, try to pull your front wheel as high as you can.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to make these a little tighter. Front foot pre-turn. Nice. That looks good to me. So let's just take a quick look at the other side. Actually, before we do that, I'm just going to demonstrate for everybody out there who's right foot forward. I'll do a left foot forward one and then a right foot forward one so you can all see what you might look like on your own bike. Pretty good gig. So now we have a bit more challenge.
Yeah, because there's...
What are you doing all the way down there? Why don't you stand up here? Watch out for that. Told you this is going to be challenging. This is much more technical than it looks.
But
so
like, you don't have to practice in a zone with off-camber routes, but apparently that's what we've chosen.
I want to challenge your cross-country tires today. So
I already slipped once.
Well, you might slip again then. That's part of what happens in this sport sometimes. All right, so what we're going to be doing here is obviously practicing in the other direction. Important that we are ambi-turners, even for our switchbacks, or especially for our switchback turns. One of the things that I like to think of when I'm making switchback turns is that because I'm always pre-turning, I always get my favorite side.
That's unnecessary. That one is unnecessary.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, I made it.
I didn't think you were going to make it. So because you were almost like 6 inches too far downhill, you could have pulled another 6 inches uphill here, right? So if you end up kind of almost in the weeds at the bottom and you could have gone higher, you could have addressed it here.
Right.
Okay, so let's try that. So you're going to really bring your front wheel all the way up here by the red cone, really making that nice, decisive, pretty tight pre-turn here. That's really important. The tighter that pre-turn is, the more it leaves the rear wheel behind.
Okay, so we want to really hook right in here.
Yeah, you want a nice tight pre-turn to get the angle of the bike kind of moving this direction here, and then getting that front wheel, call it high marking basically. So I'm always looking like up at the ferns or whatever's up on the edge of the trail there, and I'm always trying to make the highest mark.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good.
Okay, inside the root.
Nice. Inside the root, and you were right up in the ferns here, just nicking the cones. That's exactly what we want, right? So you were able to actually get a more favorable outcome at the exit of the turn. All right, so you pretty much slated in the old drill zone here. So let's go take this to Cuss Hollow. I hope you brought some $20 bills, because there's a cuss jar over there.
Well, you know me. Let my mouth run.
As usual. All right, oh joy, here we are at Cuss Hollow. Okay, so we're gonna be taking a look at some on-trail switchbacks here. So let's just kind of walk through and talk about this. So as we're approaching this first switchback, it's super, super tight. So as we come in, we're gonna basically be moving toward the inside here, which is not intuitive at all, right? Like our body kind of wants to be on the outside. But remember, we're gonna leave the back wheel behind down here by making this pre-turn. And then moving into our actual turn, the bike's going to be able to pivot somewhat around its own back wheel. So we're going to get that nice offset wheel path coming through here.
Right. And I love what you've said about this before, because it really makes a perfect question mark shape.
It does, yeah, it does.
Like come here, cut out, and around.
And the other thing that I like is that it gives us the sense of rhythm, like where we're moving from one foot to the other, and it actually gives us something to do and something to think about rather than like, oh my God, this turn's just so tight. So before we get started with this, let's address something that we didn't address when we did the drill, which is what we're going to do with our braking here. This is a bit steeper and it's pretty loose today, so we want to be on top of our braking skills. So as I'm approaching, I can brake when I'm going in a straight line leading up to my pre-turn. I'm going to use that opportunity to really slow the bike down. And then as I actually initiate my pre-turn, if it's possible, if it's not too steep, I'm going to let off the front brake, okay? So that's going to allow me to like turn the front wheel comfortably, because there is some hand steer here in a turn this tight. So I'll be off the front brake, and then as I feel I've finished the actual turn here, I'm going to let off the back brake. So both brakes coming in, and then one brake, just the back brake as I come through. Now, sometimes things are really, really steep, and I might find that if it's a really slow switchback, I might be on both brakes a little bit. But ideally, I would be off that front brake. And this is actually what we're seeing in videos where we see people riding switchbacks super, super quickly, and we see the bike sliding, doing a scanty flick essentially. That's coming from making rapid braking with both brakes, letting off the front brake, and that back brake kind of flicks the back end around, flicks it to the inside, and then they're able to come through the turn quite quickly. Nice. All right, so why don't you try it without a pre-turn?
So it worked, and I think with my bike being really short, that gave me a bit of an advantage, but I had to go really slow, and it was clunky. So it's almost like going in and slowing down almost to stopping so I could turn my front wheel like a hand steer and then let the bike roll again.
Yeah, like you say, your bike's pretty short. I don't think my bike would fit through here without a pre-turn, without creating an offset wheel path. And the other thing is, you made it through. Like you said, it was a little bit clunky, but you ended up right on the very edge at the end. So had it been any tighter, I don't think you would have made it. I think this is about the limit of what you could do without a pre-turn. Go get yourself a stack of cones, practice this a bunch. It takes time to learn, so give yourself time. What I'd recommend doing is setting up the cones to start so that your bike can almost make it through without a pre-turn. And as that gets comfortable, as the technique starts to work, you can start to bring basically the radius so that you can make a tighter radius turn. And you can bring your pre-turn cones in when you do that to allow you to get a more offset wheel path. Also remember to high mark that turn, so nice to have a marker cone set up to help you with that.
And even if you don't have switchbacks near you, you can still practice this anywhere, right?
Yeah, you just need a slight slope, something to go around, set up some cones. You don't even need a tree, unless you want some roots, and a tree's super helpful. Right? So you can literally do this anywhere. You can practice this in a parking lot on pavement to start.
Well, I'm really glad we practiced this, because I know I'm going to need this in the Alps next week.
You're going to need it in the Alps, I'm going to need it in the Alps, and you might need it in the Alps if you want to come join us sometime.